Hi, everybody. This is Help Me Be Me, and this is an episode I'm calling The Things We Do to Ourselves. It's really it's a reflection for you on you. And what inspired this episode is I think it's really easy to fall into setting up systems in our lives that betray ourselves and our truest wishes from our souls. And I feel like it's easy to find yourself in a life that you've set up that brings you a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety that makes you feel trapped or overwhelmed, like for a large majority of your life, like throughout the week, or it just consistently takes you out of what I would call like the good times, when you are supposed to be relaxed or you're supposed to be fully present, you're supposed to be in the stuff of life. And I think we only really get glimpses of this setting when we having a panic attack or on a Sunday. The term the Sunday scaries is, I think, a pretty contemporary theme because it's that looking down the barrel of the future and feeling like, when will this end? When will this load of work and the tunnel of expectations of shit I have to do, when will this ever end? It just feels like a lot. It feels like a lot of the time. And so this idea of the things that we do to ourselves, it for me is an umbrella term for what I would call like setting up a situation that you feel like you can't get out of consistently, and being living at the cost of peace. Sometimes it's self-respect, sometimes it's bodily peace, sometimes at the cost of just having a calm mind and a calm nervous system. These are all things that we have to protect and curate for ourselves. We are the ambassadors of those terms, and we are also the protector and the maintainer of those terms. I'm just adding another thing to your list of things to do. See how I did that? But no, I mean, what I guess I want you to really keep in mind in this episode, this is not a big, hard, scary assignment. It's a really simple adjustment. It's a step back. It's something that will hopefully allow you to reframe the way you approach all of the same things and reframe the way you move through your life, just in how you acknowledge and address that inner POV on what is working and what is not working. It's a very simple awareness shift. And I think that a really simple awareness shift is all it takes to alter the trajectory of the entirety of our lives. So, this episode is really just a reflection. It's kind of a reset for you to do with you on you. Because you, that thing, that being, is also, that is a relationship we have. It's a relationship we have to really take care of, just like a friendship. And it takes work and attention and love and care and making that important. It's really easy for that to not become important just because of like the speed of the expectations we have constantly from culture, from job, from everything that wants your attention all the time. And that relationship with you can be repaired with a few simple adjustments to just how we approach a single day. I think a lot of the time, if we feel we are suffering, what needs to happen is just a really subtle acknowledgement of that suffering and an asking inward of where I want to go. What do I want to change? It doesn't have to be like a life overhaul. It doesn't have to uproot everything. It doesn't have to shatter all this, things that are working for you in your life. So, this is really about how we can come to a sense of comfort in our bodies and in our psyche and feel more aligned and at home in our lives versus at the mercy of it. And so this is really all tools. This episode is not heavy. It's not you know, sad, but it'll hopefully, like, I think, create some positive air in your life. So first thing I want to do is ask you to acknowledge aloud to yourself, if this is resonating at all, I would like a change. Just say it out loud if that's true for you. I would like a change. And know that you mean it. I think that all change begins as just a tiny seed in the form of intention. And know that that has been planted and now it will grow. And you don't have to solve for what growth means from right here, right now. If there's anything I've learned about working on myself toward growth, is that I must trust that it will arrive at on its own time. And as I'm ready for it to arrive, as it is ready to arrive, I cannot muscle it. I cannot schedule it. I just have to accept and let go and really just welcome it and move forward with intentionality, move forward with a respect for the goal itself. And so, if you are on board with all of this so far, I wanted to invite you to take another step further and say aloud right now, whisper speak, what you would like to change. What is it that you want to change? What's lacking right now? I'll do it too. I would like to boundary my work time. I would like to work less and have non-work hours. I would like to be off my phone more. Whatever yours is, just announce it. Know that it's true. The process is in progress, even if you cannot see the results. And often that is because we cannot fully process how the change needs to come about. And so we cannot see that we are activating it. And really, the only goal is just to stay conscious. And by that, I mean like notice when you're falling into unconsciousness. What do I mean by that? I mean, going into a machine mode of any shape or form. For me, it's work. For me, it's like checking boxes, not being a party in my own life, me being like a conduit of a list of things versus being there for it, hitting record in my brain as it's happening. So, with that, here are some tools for this topic in particular. But first, a brief word from our sponsors. Okay, first tool, what will I wish? This is the end of life reflection. I've given this before, but it's a good quick one because your body already knows what the issues are in your life balance. So I just want to ask you to ask yourself right now, take yourself to the end of your life and ask, what will I regret most about the way I lived my life right now? The answer is going to be quick. I know what I would say. I wish I didn't work so much. I wish I spent more quality time with my kids. I wish I gave my husband more attention. I wish I spent more time outside. Whatever comes up for you, write it down. And now this is now externalized as a goal that will be tweaked in your future as you reapproach your day, your days. And if you want to title this little journal entry, My Reframe, I invite you to do so. All right, the next tool, this is me on drugs. I don't know if you were alive in the 80s. I was. And there was a campaign that was, This is your brain on drugs, and somebody's cooking an egg. It really stuck with me. It wasn't like the best, clearest messaging. I'm like, eggs, I get it, I get it. But either way, this is me on drugs. The tool is basically there is a very specific chemical perspective that occurs in your brain when you start to see everything as bad, see yourself as ugly, see yourself as stupid, see the world as stupid, see things as pointless. That is the calling card of the drug that is me chemically compromised. And I just want you to become really attuned to its calling card. When your brain starts to turn on you, notice it. The first thing you want to do is notice it. Oh, my brain just started turning on me. It's probably because I've had like a really stressful week. It's probably because I haven't slept very well. It's probably because it's that time of the month. Whatever it is, this is me on drugs. This is my brain on drugs. The thing I want you to think next or remember in your fibers next is the opposite is also true. Whatever my beliefs are telling me, I need to try on the opposite of those beliefs and know that they are equally true. All perspectives can be true at any given time. We are the lens we bring to objective information. Our lens can shift in a day. You can see everything as amazing. You can see everything as terrible. It just depends on the lens you're bringing. So in that moment, just change the lens for a split second and say, what does it feel like to remember the opposite of what I'm thinking right now is also true? And if you can't do that, then the goal is just to step back and disengage from the train of thinking itself. Because it's like, oh yeah, this is what drugs look like. I forgot. Okay, I gotta stop. I gotta step back. All right. Next tool. Do you know where the crumbly edge is? We all have a breaking point. We all have an edge where things start to just go offline. I'm bringing this up just for you to be aware where your edge lies because it changes throughout your life. And mine is much closer or shorter than I previously had assumed. My previous like identity, I guess, was like I can I can do anything and can keep going. I have no limit. Like I really did believe that about myself. Now I can see that when I treat myself like that, I eventually explode, implode, or I feel like a prisoner in my own body. So I'm bringing this up to reframe your little human body vehicle as like a friend, the a sweet sensitive friend who you like, who kind of needs to be factored into the equation of the system that is your lifestyle. And if you are going to make this little friend do shit tons of nonstop work that they hate, you have to check in and acknowledge them and also do some things for them to make sure that they don't feel like this is not worth it. You know what I mean? Like that this balance is completely depleting them. In other words, listen to that little inner kid at least a portion of the time, and acknowledge them respectfully by doing things that help them to regenerate and to feel like they're restored. And if we don't do that, that is how you eventually have a breakdown, mental break, panic attack, fill in the blank of whatever psychosis you want. But like, we really do need to acknowledge the inner being that is being put through all of this work. And what do I mean by acknowledge? I mean very simple, tiny gestures that, hey, I support you, I love you, I care about you and what you want, and I'm going to do something in your interests that is not just for the goal of efficiency or checking a box or making more money or being skinnier or whatever the fill in the blank thing is that like seems to rule whatever, systems that are currently running. So an acknowledgement, the voice of this little tiny self is very succinct, quiet, simple. And when you'll get like a little message from yourself, it'll be something like, I really don't want to do that right now. I'm so tired. In the face of a comment like that from yourself, when you hear it, you respond and you say, you know what? This can wait until tomorrow. And you put your laptop down. Or let's say yesterday, maybe it was 2 days ago, my little inner voice said, I think I'd like to do a little bit of yoga. And it's really easy to just keep going and say, like, I really don't have time. That's too inconvenient, whatever it is. But I stopped, I went and got my yoga mat, and I did like 5 minutes of stretching. And that is just how you fill the cup of self-worth, self-importance, feeling like I'm not just living at the cost of myself. We have to perform these gestures. And these little tweaks go a long way. They also create just a little bit better hierarchy in our lives. All right, next tool is a journal exercise, the rules of this game of life. I think a lot of us live by these kind of unwritten or old rules for ourselves as to what our life needs to be driven by. Like, for example, like a scarcity mindset is an example of a set of rules. Like, there's not enough. I should feel lucky to have a job. I should make it really easy to work with me because people won't want me or whatever the thing is. I have to work harder than everybody else. Like, some of those are actually, created by culture. I'm asking you more to look at the beliefs that you have that are not serving you and at what cost you are living by them. Because a lot of these are creating a lot of dysfunction in our life and our life balance, and they are not difficult to change. It'll be a really subtle, simple shift that nobody else recognizes but us. It's like a me on me, a you on you shift. It's like you're not going to not show up for work on time. It's not like everybody else is going to be like, whoa, this person's just not is not motivated anymore. It's really just changing the energy or the urgency or the how put upon we feel in the role we place ourselves in our lives. So the point of this tool is just to write down for yourself like what's the language of my anxiety? What are the terms that I feel so driven by that feel so immediate, like these unbreakable things that these worries I have. And once you've written them down, take a break from them and then revisit them on another day and just ask like maybe try on another person's perspective and ask, are these true? Do they look completely true? Would somebody else think that these are true? My guess is that they are not true and that they are self-created and they are probably born from a very specific age or time or authority figure in your life. And the goal is really to start to shed and tweak some of them and ask, is this rule motivating me right now? Is it true? It's not true. We have to deliberately train ourselves out of perspectives that are not serving us, like scarcity. All right, the next tool, the most stressful time in my life. This is a kind of a continuation of the crumbling edge one. These are such dire terms, but I just wanted you to do a little brief reflection, more for having an internal map. Know that there was a time in your life when you felt like the most overwhelmed or the most stressed, and know that that zone, whatever it was, caused some risk to your health. And I just want you to like note how many layers were there, the quantities of the activities, what was the specific texture of the time in your life. Like maybe just map out a particular day. What was so difficult? What made it so toxic and challenging? Was it the chaos? Was it the overlapping of the multitasking? Was it the need to make decisions? Was it the expectations of diverse parties on your shoulders? I think when we are placed in situations where we have a set of obligations and we feel like we can't be honest about it, we feel like we have no voice in that, that causes the most overwhelm for us and our bodies. And the reason I just want you to take apart these situations is so that you do not place yourself in a situation like that in the future. Like, know that you went there, but that's not a good thing. This is not something to aspire to. It's not like, yeah, I can be so totally productive. Like, I can max out my productivity in this, you know, intense way. Like, that's not good. It doesn't feel good. It's not good for your like nervous system. I think when we feel in flow and we're highly productive and fully embodied, that's a very different thing than being taxed and overwhelmed and feeling overly stressed for a long period of time. Anyway, that's that tool. Next tool is called But I Can't. This one's going to feel weird and counterintuitive, especially if you are a person who considers yourself to have been superstitious. This was a tool that I felt so much resistance to years ago, and now I love it and I practice it often. And just to give you like a background on this and to explain it, I do what I call a reverse jinx all the time. And what do I mean by the reverse jinx? When I say things are going to go awesomely, this is going to go so well. What I am doing with a statement like that, because a jinx is when people feel like you've jinxed something, it's because we have anxiety over a fear of something not going well. And in truth, on like an energetic level, on an energetic plane, we have to be in a state of trust and faith that things will work out for them to actually work out. Like that is the best way to welcome good things into our life, is to really like be in that state of receptivity, of openness, of joy, of positivity. So my reverse jinx is to deliberately say things will be great and really energetically my body be in the state of trust, because I am acknowledging and countering the lack, scarcity, anxiety mindset that I feel like possessed me and drove me through adolescence and into young adulthood, you know? But that is the practice of untraining scarcity is to really just come into trust and acceptance and letting go and trusting that things will work out and we can just live in that state of not controlling everything. So the tool, super, super powerful one, is if you are in a state of anxiety or you're in a state of overwhelm, you're trying to control things, you're like, but this thing can't happen. This thing can't happen. I will never survive this thing that will happen. I can't let it happen. We're like trying to predict or control some future outcome. In that moment, if you recognize that thinking, go in your mind into the worst possible outcome, live it, experience it, imagine all the things that will happen, all the people that will be mad at you, all of the ramifications. Really think through all of it and forgive yourself. And really come into that energy of, hey, I tried my best and there's nothing I can do and I still have my back. Give yourself a little pausey, as my drama teacher used to call this, the little tap on your shoulder. Give yourself a little tap on the back and say like, hey, I still love you. I'm still a fan of you. I forgive you. And from here, energetically, when you go through that big circle of processing, we can be okay because we will always be okay. You will be okay. You will survive all outcomes. So when we can mentally go through that practice and really bring into our bodies that state of, I can live through this, accept it as possible, process how you will live through it, you are 100% more likely to see a successful outcome. Like just going through that practice and coming into a physical state of trust, acceptance, okayness, it changes the outcome in like a dramatic way. So I'm just throwing that out there. I think it's an amazing tool. I use it all the time. And I just want you to try it now. Just go into your body. What does trust feel like? What does faith, openness, optimism, acceptance of all things? What does it feel like in your body? For me, it feels like my shoulders drop a little bit, my stomach drops a little bit, my throat opens a little bit. Openness and receptivity. That's all I want you to just channel in your energy. Okay, next tool, integrate the holy. This is a really weird tool, but I wanted to throw it in here because it really struck me as a profound insight. So I have baggage around religion. I'm not a fan of organized religion. It freaks me out, triggers me, all of those things. I'm trying really hard to not have that response, but that is based on just like my upbringing. But one thing that is really helpful and powerful and important about practicing some sort of religion and or having a belief system in something higher than you. So it doesn't have to be a religion, it could be just any belief system, is this externalization of the concepts of good and evil. Like to have archetypes, to have stories, narratives that are based around figures that represent concepts of pure good and pure evil for the ego, for the psyche, are very helpful just because it's not all about us. I think one thing that Western society, modern Western society, suffers from immensely is individualistic lifestyle and consummation of consumption, I mean, of content, and just everything is just, what am I doing and how well am I doing it? And like, how am I compared to these other people that I'm directly related to and parallel to me? It's like the world and your psyche needs to be bigger, grander. There needs to be something outside of you that is much bigger as an idea. And without that, it just becomes, our minds become very sick. So this thing that has happened with the abandonment of a lot of people abandoning organized religion and the abandonment of archetypes, especially in kids, is we really need to externalize the concepts of good and evil so that we can recognize it as something that needs to be constantly mitigated. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people can't identify in other people and relationships in the world these concepts of like what is good, what is evil. And I think when we have archetypes, we can really focus our energy on something like a prayer, for example, of trying to reinstill in ourselves the goal of being good and the goal of having this ethos of goodness and the constant practice that is required in staving off evil as a concept. It's like it crystallizes it and formalizes it in a really helpful way, at least to our minds. Because it's like not all about me and me and me and me and me and me. It's a very convoluted tool. But the gist of it is have an archetype or pick a prayer, pick a cool old prayer, an ancient one that feels interesting to you, feels powerful to you. Doesn't matter if you actually like believe in that God or you believe in that story. I just want you to identify something that will help you create a practice, a daily practice to reorient yourself and kind of create a hierarchy in yourself that keeps you small and these higher goals of I need to target myself toward goodness. I need to target myself toward creating this balance, I guess. Hope that made sense. I have prayers that I say, and I have baggage around religion, but I say them pretty regularly, and they really do like feel like they're conditioning my energy. Okay, next tool, look at your house. I know that a lot of people have a little bit of a hard time with the idea of dream interpretation. I do dream work a lot. This is a dream assignment. I have made so much progress in my life and my self work by looking to my dreams. And if you do not believe in that, then I understand why you may feel that way. But I'm just going to give you a really simple dream assignment because dreams are just like your unconscious expressing things that are important to you in like very symbolic forms. So the assignment is look to a house. Look to the next house in your dream because dreams about houses are always related to a situation about yourself. And so the house will tell you a lot about something that is a really prevalent, important situation for you. So, for example, whose house is it? What time is the house from? What are any relevant details about the house? For example, it might be unfinished. It might be broken in some way. There might be rooms that are walled off. There might be parts of it that are newer. I just had a dream that the house that represents kind of my psyche and like my spiritual self was demolished. That was like a striking visual. It was replaced with a parking lot where big rigs were turning around and they were not paying attention to what was going on. I'm like, it was such a clear message of like, oh, you're letting these industries kind of take over your spiritual self, like the industries being work. So dreams are really profound in what they tell you you need. And they will introduce in our lives a new attitude about a situation that's occurring in our lives. And when we can take note and make adjustments, we don't feel out of alignment. We can feel respected, healthy, like we are taking care of ourselves. So I just want you to pay attention. If you have a dream about a house, write it down. See what that could represent. I gave you my big rig example. What would be yours? All right. Next tool is called self debrief or you on you burn reports. I Googled what a burn report is. I'm not a project manager. I'm going to read you my Google result. It is to track the progress of a sprint or a project by showing the remaining work against time, helping teams identify potential risks and manage their workload effectively. So, with that context, the tool is basically to look at every moment that keeps you up at night, everything that has a lot of texture to it and friction as an invitation. It's a little email or a burn report with some sort of nugget of learning. So if something's not sitting right with you, if you're like, if it's like 11:30 at night and you're like, this one conversation's really bugging me, or this one interaction's really bugging me, know that you just got a little chunk of information. It's going to show you a pocket of growth, usually the next day. Don't tackle it then, don't replay it, but just the next day, I want you to ask yourself that moment of friction, what was the experience that betrayed you? Where do you feel like you might have betrayed you? Answer anything that comes to mind. The goal is to leave no stone unturned. Could be that I didn't voice my truth. It could be that I feel like I was brash. I'm not proud of the way I spoke. It could be that I feel I was compromised in I didn't tell the truth. Whatever the thing is. Second prompt, what do you hate to feel in this situation? And whatever the insight is, it's going to tell you what you're going to change next time. It's a really powerful learning tool. So never look at that as something like, ugh, I just want to cringe. I don't want to think about it. Like, no, no, go into it. It's going to teach you something awesome. All right. Next tool is a shout out to my husband. This is a tool he gave me, a mantra. You're not that important. I think a lot of us get so in our heads and we analyze how we performed in some situation. We feel like we didn't do a good job. We feel like everyone's talking shit about us and like thinking we're dumb or whatever the thing is. You are not that important. And in another way to spin this mantra is everybody else only cares about what they're doing. Like the only thing they're thinking of is how they appear, if they feel like good or bad about the way they appeared. They're not thinking about you or how you performed. All right. The next tool, the power of ownership. There is something that is so striking and enchanting and amazing and remarkable about a person who does not bow to the guilt imposed by others. Because there are all these kind of cultural expectations that we can sense. Like, you should feel bad for doing this, and you should not be open about this thing. Like, you shouldn't say this thing in this confident of a way. And a person who does not obey those rules, if they are light, if they are unaffected, everybody is like, what do they have? What do they know? They must be more important than I thought. So I just wanted to plant that visual in your mind because our goal is to really own all of ourselves and feel fully embodied and fully justified in all of our beliefs, in exactly who we are, and to not be apologetic for that. And I have one more tool, and then I have my closing. This tool is called Hungry Ghosts. It's after a book title, a really nice book if you're interested in reading. There is something I think that we get tricked by. There's this kind of sense that something's missing. So the hungry ghosts, as I call them, they live in our bellies, they live in our mouths. This feeling of we need something or someone. Recognize it as a ruse because we can start to rehearse just creating space for that feeling and recognizing it when it comes up and just breathing through it. And through that, we can stop trying to fill this hunger for stimuli, this hunger for someone to reaffirm us, whatever the thing is. A lot of the time, the solution is just to be with ourselves unconditionally and know that we can live through that feeling of craving, of lack. We can just be simply in that moment. It doesn't have to be anything different than what it is. So those are my tools. I hope they're helpful. And if anyone has the means, donations really help out the show. You can head to yaywithme.com and click donate. If you don't have the means, totally fine. If you could share it with someone that it could help, that helps me as well. And in closing, I just want to ask you, have you told yourself truthfully, I love you no matter what? I stand by you no matter what. Does that sound crazy for me to suggest that? Because it should be a foundational understanding with you on you that you love you unconditionally no matter what. And if it's a profound thing when you can know that, say it to yourself and know it and mean it. And I believe you should absolutely, at the minimum, give yourself that love. If you're willing to give it to somebody else, you should absolutely give it to yourself first. So that if that is not true for you, I invite you to just simply make that a goal. That know that that's the road you're on. And then that will gift so much more power and love and actual gift giving to other people in your life. I also invite you to set the goal of just curating private psychic space and making that time, that space of its own value and having that be more valuable than money or stuff or whatever else you're heading toward in your life. That time is very important and should be at the top of the hierarchy. It's valuable for just your understanding of like what it is you choose for this life. So I hope these are helpful and I send you my love and smile.